Jonesy and Amanda.
Jam Nation.
No doubt reveling in the word news that the first 100% on Married at First Sight has been dropped. It's almost like the changing of the seasons. Gillespie is here with That's Entertainment.
The changing of the seasons, indeed. Have either of you read or seen a TV show, The Tattooist of Auschwitz?
I read the book.
I read the book too.
Incredible book, incredible series on Stan. There is a doco out now that I want to talk to you about. It's actually about the son. It's called The Tattooist Son. But if you haven't heard of this book or seen this show, it follows the kind of real life love story and horrific, harrowing circumstances of this couple, Gita and Lali Sokolov, who were Holocaust survivors. They met each other at a concentration camp. Lali was one of the tattooists, so he was recruited by the Nazis to tattoo the numbers on the arms of everyone who came through the camp. This horrendous story, but they fell in love in the kind of, most awful of circumstances. So it's this sort of beautiful tale out of the darkness. They moved to Australia after Auschwitz was liberated 80 years ago.
Yes, it's the anniversary of liberation.
Yep. And their son, Gary, this new doco, it sort of goes through his sort of adult life, the fallout of kind of growing up with this intergenerational trauma. He revisits Auschwitz. He goes to the places his parents grew up in, the Czech Republic. And it's an incredible story. I think what was most interesting to me is he speaks about how his parents never spoke about Auschwitz. They never spoke about what they went through during the Holocaust. It was just a kind of a laser focus on we're moving forward, we're here now, we're, looking to the future. But that obviously they had all these deep trauma and horrific experiences and how that kind of impacted him. And he's really broken up about it, even though his parents really never spoke about it to him. He said that, when the book came out, that was the first time he'd ever learned about what his parents had gone through. They've both, sadly passed away in the last kind of 20 years or so. He had all these unanswered questions, and it's just amazing to watch him go through, retrace their steps as this sort of 80th anniversary approached when it was filmed. He's now, a 63-year-old man with 2 kids of his own. But there's sort of this sort of childlikeness about him, this innocence of sort of wanting to find out more about his family and where he came from. And it's very, very moving, really emotional stuff.
And very timely, I would say, when you look at the anti-Semitic attacks in Sydney.
Yeah.
How dare we forget this story? It's quite extraordinary. But you hear about the children of Holocaust survivors. I've heard some say that they're hypochondriacs because their parents know it might not just be a cold. Something terrible can happen at any minute. So the implications of may not be telling their stories to you, but the outfall from that has probably impacted your childhood enormously.
And Gary Sokolov was their only son, and I think they wrapped him up in so much love, and you can hear the warmth in his voice when he's talking about how much they loved him. But I'm sure, in isolation, having that one son, the fear that they would have brought over here, carrying all of that. And I think you're absolutely right, Amanda, that, now more than ever, it's so important that we reflect on something like this. 1 million Jews killed at Auschwitz in those 3 years. And now to see what's going on around Sydney, really, really chilling stuff and an important reminder.
No one knows history.
Yeah.
And the famous saying, if you don't learn from history, you're just doomed to repeat your mistakes. It seems like we're doing it.
There's experts in this doco. There's a psychiatrist, this man who's devoted his whole life to researching the trauma of the Holocaust, what Holocaust survivors endured after the fact, and kind of what's been left behind, and the children and the grandchildren and how they kind of carry on that legacy. Some fascinating insight into, trauma, history, family, bonds, ties, values. Highly recommend everyone check it out. It's on Stan, out now, The Tattooist's Son. Check it out.
Journey to Auschwitz. Gillespie, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
It's 3 to 8. You can see her at the Daily Oz.